Magic the Gathering Arena hasn't actually been out for that long, and it already appears like there are significant signs of decline. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, we are here today to dive into what's going on with Magic the Gathering Arena. At one time, it seemed like Arena was leaping from strength to strength, but now it seems like the program is flagging. The amount of attention that it's getting has been noticeably decreasing, and that's pretty crazy considering the fact that we're living in a time right now where people can't really get out and play physical Magic the same way, which should be bumping Arena's numbers upwards. I remember there was a certain point where I actually thought that Arena was going to do so well that it was going to bury the competition in terms of programs like MTGO, right? Like Magic the Gathering Online. I genuinely and foolishly thought that Arena was going to put a big dent in that, and MTGO was on its last legs. Now, I no longer have those feelings. I've actually switched from thinking that Arena was Wizards' like super long-term plan to keep cranking into maybe Arena's actually going to be more of a shorter-term product. I no longer feel like Arena is guaranteed to be something that's going to be plowing on into the future just pretty much indefinitely. Now, I could be wrong about that, right? There's still plenty of time for course correction, things can change and improve. But I just wanted to dive into what it seems like the current Arena environment is. I mean, I myself, you may remember, put out a video maybe like a month or two ago, I can't even remember when I put it out, saying that I was done with Magic Arena. It just wasn't doing anything for me. Now, I've been pulled in by the lure of getting to basically play against you guys. So about a week ago, I did an Arena stream where I played against viewers, and I actually had a lot of fun. So for me, I'm delving back into the game, but it's causing me to notice certain things about the game that go, oh, wait a minute, these seem to be signs of decline. One is that it seems to be a longer wait between matches when I'm just playing casually. And I think that that is because people are playing less Magic overall on the Arena platform. And that's actually backed up. And part of this discussion was fostered by somebody choosing on Twitter to send me, do you know the emails that Wizards of the Coast said? If you're familiar with Arena, you're going to be familiar, unless they get filtered into your spam box, with the emails where they send out giving you your stats, right? It tells you how much gold you've earned, how much gold you won from like daily wins, and things like how many games you're playing. And how many games you're playing is a big one. So this person sent me their particular little bio in terms of how many games they had played. And it said they had played 35 games. And more importantly, it said that was more than 50% of people playing on the platform. So to put this in perspective, these statistics are encompassing an entire season's worth of games. And by season, I mean a particular set. So we're looking here at the Kaldheim set that we just dealt with, right? So this is the Kaldheim season. So what happened was this person played 35 games in the entire time that Kaldheim was out. So we're talking about multiple months, right? And that's more than 50% of people who have an Arena account. So half of the people playing Arena are playing less than 30 some odd games stretched across multiple months, right? So even if you're using 30 as the number and you stretch it out across 3 months, that's 10 games a month. That is abysmally low. We can see this decrease in a number of different ways. First of all, from people just naturally playing less, but there is also less engagement in terms of like professional and viewership of Arena. Because remember, Wizards of the Coast has touted Magic Arena as being this big esports thing, right? Like they made a huge push for it in the beginning with the whole they will know your name kind of thing, where they made that video that was supposed to get you hyped up. You're going to stand on the stage holding the arena trophy high. You've done it, the pinnacle of accomplishments. Everyone will know who you are, right? It's this big get you amped up style thing. But then you turn around and look at the events that they're running. Now, they've tried multiple times to like rework the MPL, the Magic Pro League, and also the little feeder league that goes up into it. But the truth is, that doesn't drive a ton of viewership, right? Even at their peak of viewership, they're not even putting a dent in far more popular games. And that's a big problem. Also, if you consider the amount that people are playing and the fact that Wizards of the Coast just rolled out this like mobile app, you would think there should be a spike, a move upwards in the amount of people who are playing the game, because all of a sudden now you have the entirety of the mobile market, and the mobile market is pretty lucrative, right? That's a great place to make all your microtransaction money. People can pick the game up and play it wherever offhand. You know, I'm just going to play a few pickup games here. It essentially increases the reach of Magic Arena. But what it hasn't done, at least not from my perspective, is actually push up the number of people who are playing games. I have to sit there sometimes for 30, 40 seconds before I'm getting a match. That's not a sign of health. And I think this is also backed up, the whole like the game not being as popular. I think this is also backed up by Wizards' recent decision to end the creator early access program, right? Where basically they would let almost anybody join this program regardless of your internet presence. So you had creators with very small channels and creators with huge channels that were a part of this program. And it would create a day of celebration where everybody would come out and you get to watch all this stuff in advance. These guys have access in advance. They have special codes that are given out. There's this big hubbub. It was like a mini pre-release party, right? But Wizards of the Coast just axed it. And I talked about in a previous video the reasons that they most likely axed it. And one of the reasons I brought up was the cost, because there is a cost associated with it, right? But I don't think that cost could be too high. I think it was too high for them to continue to do it, but I think that's a result of them going, wait a minute, we're putting this much money into essentially like advertisement is what it's supposed to be, but it's not worth putting that money into it because we're not seeing a push up in viewership and activity. I mean, we're looking at a situation where half of the people are playing 30 games or less over the course of multiple months, and that's with the access to the whole mobile game phenomenon, right? So in this case, it seems like the game is flagging in that regard. And I think one of the biggest problems that Magic has is accessibility of cards. Yes, you can be a free to play player, and you can build up a considerable collection. I know this is a fact because I've done it. I have a video on the channel explaining to you how you can do it, but that takes a significant time investment. You have to want to play the game every day and actually enjoy it. Otherwise, grinding out a collection as a free-to-play player is a nightmare. But the real problem comes in when it comes to the pay-to-play players, because they're getting upset and frustrated. And a perfect example of Wizards' complete terrible decisions when it comes to monetization and overall greed actually happens to do with, it has to do with Strixhaven, right? Because how Strixhaven works is they've brought in the Mystic Archive cards, which I love, first of all. Those cards are beautiful. I very much enjoy the artwork on them. But the problem is the way that Wizards of the Coast has staggered the rarities on these cards. If you've been opening packs of Strixhaven on Arena, you get one of these Mystic Archive cards in every pack. But you will find that you'll be getting a ton of the uncommon ones, right? And the rare and mythic rare Mystic Archive cards will elude you. So getting those cards proves to be very, very, very difficult. You can spend a ton of money buying Strixhaven boosters, complete the entire regular set of Strixhaven, and find that you have nowhere near the amount of Mystic Archive rares and mythics that you should have. And Wizards of the Coast took a bunch of cards that were literally commons and uncommons and bumped them up to rare level. You've got things like Stone Rain and Lightning Bolt, which have been common for the majority of Magic's history, right? And now all of a sudden, they're rares. So if you want to play with these historic cards or anything like that, then you have to start ponying up rare and mythic rare wild cards. And the only way to get those is to buy more packs. But if you've already bought enough Strixhaven packs that you've got the whole set, you're left with this feel bad scenario where you want these particular cards, but to get the wild cards, you have to pour insane amounts of money in just buying more and more packs. Like you could easily spend $500 buying digital booster packs and not have all the mystical archive cards you want or the wild cards to get them, okay? And you got to remember, these aren't like paper Magic cards. You don't get to physically own them. So it's a real problem when they have such an aggressive monetization strategy at that level where they're trying to basically force you to chase and pay a lot of money for these cards that don't really exist. For the older historic format, it's like they're trying to make historic as expensive as possible under the misguided thought that, you know what, no matter what, people are going to keep playing Arena, so we can extract from them. I mean, remember when they originally announced that historic cards were going to cost double the wild cards compared to everything else? They've always wanted to make the historic aspect more expensive. But here's the problem. You don't have a ton of people playing your game in the first place. They're trying to keep you running in the standard hamster wheel where you're always buying the newest stuff. You always have to keep up, and they want to make access to the older stuff trickier, so you're more likely to keep running in that hamster wheel. But the problem is when the standard hamster wheel isn't that much fun or engaging, then you have this scenario. And when you layer in the Arena bugs and issues that are going on, it exacerbates the problem. Like for me, like I said, I recently just got back into Arena because I like the idea of getting to play with you guys while live streaming, right? So you got this whole, yeah, I'm ready to get back into Arena. So what was it, yesterday or the day before? Maybe it was the day before. I logged in to play Arena, and I start to play, and I achieve a goal, and then all of a sudden, due to a bug in the game, all of my goals and all my progress disappears. So now when I'm playing my games, I don't know if I'm being properly rewarded for them, and because you have this sort of scenario where what happens if I complete a goal and it doesn't register? All of a sudden, I don't get the credit for that. And then you have your weekly progress as well, where if I'm playing now, is this going to cost me my weekly progress? Like, the bugs are disincentivizing me from playing the game on top of everything else. Because Wizards makes it so hard in terms of you just being able to access the specific cards you want, it causes this kind of bottleneck problem where, unlike games where they have like systems where, let's say you could take 4 copies of a common, trade it in for a common wild card. So you want a wild card? Just trade in 4 cards of that rarity, you get a wild card. I mean, Wizards would still be coming out ahead with that in terms of, okay, every, like, 4 rares, they had to come from somewhere. You can turn those 4 rares into a wild card. All of a sudden, now you have the ability to shift what you have to target particular things, but they don't do that. So they create a stagnating environment where when you're somebody who just starts playing, you have barely any resources. So you're going to plow all those resources into building a standard deck that works for you. And a lot of the time, it's probably going to be something you've seen online somebody else playing, because that gives you a decent chance at winning, especially if you're new to the game. Then what are you going to do? You're just going to make something up yourself? It's not going to work, and you're going to be frustrated. So you're going to end up, a lot of people are going to gravitate to the same strategies. They're going to spend their wild cards. They're going to build these decks with their initial resources. Then when they have those decks built, they're stuck playing them because that's where they've concentrated all their power. And as a result, they can't switch to any other decks because those other decks will lose. And as a result, you see a high concentration of very, very similar decks and very, very similar experiences over and over and over. And that leads to boredom, and boredom leads to people wandering off. People wandering off equals less people to play games. Less people to play games means longer waiting for games. And at a certain point, when I have to wait too long for a game, I get frustrated and leave. So Wizards of the Coast isn't making choices that are in harmony with the idea of Magic Arena surviving and being a really long-term project. I used to think Arena was going to be around for a very, very long time. Now with what's going on, I'm not sure exactly how healthy Arena is going to be over the long term. If they continue to make these choices like they do with the Strixhaven Mystical Archives, it literally feels like they just made the cards with rare and mythic rare symbols on the Mystic Archive cards specifically to make them more difficult to acquire in Arena. It doesn't feel like, when you look at the cards they've made rare and mythic from the Mystical Archive and you look at it from regular card standpoint, it genuinely doesn't feel like it makes any sense. Stone Rain shouldn't be a rare, but they were basically just like, everything that's not in standard is automatically a rare or mythic rare. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cards that were common before, well, if they're not in standard, nope, they're not uncommon in the Mythic Archive. And so as a result, or Mystic Archive, as a result, you end up with what seems like an attempt to maneuver with Arena. Now, Wizards of the Coast, they basically designed things so far out that they probably weren't really aware that Arena was going to be at the point it's at. They probably thought Arena was going to be way up here flying high when it's kind of sinking downwards, right? So maybe we'll see a course correction and they'll pull back a bit on the greed with Arena. There's a couple ways they could go with it. They can make it more player friendly and enhance the health of the game, or they could just start trying to squeeze more money out of the people who are left and make it more expensive to play, which will just exacerbate the problem. Now, bear in mind, this is just one man's opinion, so feel free to tell me yours. Names of my patrons scrolling on by. Thanks for coming by. I will see you all soon. Also, I just put out a brand new, well, it's a re-release of a hilarious video that has been missing off of the internet for a considerable amount of time. So go check it out. It will make you laugh. I promise you that.